Following breaking news at this hour, Little Rock police investigating an officer-involved shooting in the capital city. Police say it happened on 12th and Rodney Parham, and that's where we find Arkansas Today's Jesse Tenor live with the very latest. Jesse.
Yeah, Mallory, that's about all the information that we have, is that an officer-involved shooting went down right here at 12th and Rodney Parham. I'm going to step out of the way just so you can see the scene, but we do know that police have put up these barriers and have been standing around and looking at something. We're not sure what that is. When we say officer-involved shooting, we're not sure even who was shot yet in this case. The acting chief of the Little Rock Police Department is apparently on scene and getting briefed about the situation, and then he will be the one that comes over and gives us more details. As far as traffic and everything here, it is moving. Police are on scene directing it. But yeah, all we know right now is that a lot of detectives, officers have been standing around these barricades that they put up over here behind a barber shop up against a fence. And we do know that someone has been shot, but yeah, at this time we don't know who. And so yeah, we'll be here on scene in the rain, making sure to give you the latest details as we get them.
Little Rock police investigating an officer-involved shooting in the capital city. It happened on 12th and Rodney Parham, according to police, and that's where we find KARK's Jesse Tenor. She just talked to the interim police chief. Jesse, what do we know right now?
Mallory, I can confirm that one person is dead as the result of this officer-involved shooting, and we couldn't confirm this earlier, but we can now. The body of a man is still on the scene here, and that's why those barriers have been put up, and the tents as well. We are told by the acting chief, Bewley, that this all started with a traffic stop on a stolen vehicle that was reported to the police department, and that vehicle and the officer, they both stopped here in this parking lot, and the officer was going up to possibly make an arrest, and then the vehicle started moving away. This is all according to the acting chief. And when that happened, the officer got injured by the car, and then an officer, a single officer, they said, was the one that fired shots. They weren't able to say how many, but those shots did end up killing the driver of that vehicle. Like I said, that person is still on the scene here, and then there was a passenger, a female, in the car. Police did take that woman who was not injured at all to the 12th Street substation to be interviewed. Police also did say that there was a witness who saw the whole thing out here who has also been taken to the substation to be interviewed. At this point, they're not sure if the driver of that vehicle had a gun as well. They said that obviously there's still a lot of people out here, detectives, officers, processing the scene. But yeah, Mallory, we are able to give you an update that the driver of the suspected stolen vehicle, the reason why this traffic stop was initiated in the first place, has died here on the scene. The police officer involved in this has been injured and taken to a hospital, but that officer was not shot. And again, the driver of the vehicle, who is dead on the scene, police do not yet know if he was armed as well with a gun. Mallory, I'm going to send it back to you for now.
Jesse, thank you.
KARK 4's Mitch McCoy joining us now live from this area, gathering the latest on the investigation. What do we know, Mitch?
Yeah, good afternoon, Bob and Ashley. Still a very active scene out here 6 hours after those shots were fired out here along Rodney Parham, where 12th and Canis meet. You can still see a very active scene. The blue lights, despite this heavy rain out here right now, the crime scene tape. Even the car that officers were stopping earlier today is still out here. That car appears to have some damage to it. And we are told at this point that the officer that was injured today is expected to survive. At the corner where 12th Street meets Canis at Rodney Parham.
This was just a misfortunate situation that ended up here.
Little Rock detectives investigated a traffic stop that led to police shooting and killing a man.
This type of incident can happen anywhere.
JB works at All Pro Barber. Right outside his shop, investigators say an officer stopped a suspected stolen car around 11 a.m. Friday.
car began to accelerate, began to move. The officer was struck by the car.
Little Rock Police Interim Chief Wayne Bewley says after the car hit the officer, shots were fired.
It doesn't appear that shots were fired by anyone other than our officer at this point.
And this particular barbershop, you know, has a pleasant environment. It gives it a bad look.
While police comb over the drenched crime scene, Jay hopes it doesn't scare off business.
But my customers, you know, they understand. They'll be back.
Yeah, police tell us that there was a person inside the car during the shots fired incident earlier today, and we're told that that person was not injured. That person is now being interviewed at the 12th Street Police substation. We're also told that there was another witness who saw everything go down, and that person is also being interviewed by authorities tonight. We're live in Little Rock. Mitch McCoy, KARK4 News.
Release this video so that we can be accountable, clear, and transparent to the people of Little Rock.
Moments leading up to a deadly police shooting. One man dead, an officer relieved of duty, and a mayor now calling for unity. That's how we begin tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ashley Ketz.
Well, good evening. I'm Bob Clausen. KARK4's Mitch McCoy joining us now live right out of the gate from police headquarters with the very latest on this. Mitch, this was released a few hours ago. Bring us up to speed because reaction is pouring in.
Oh, it absolutely is. Bob and Ashley, good evening to you both. The video is about 25 minutes long. It's being called a critical incident video, and we have the dash camera footage from that. This video comes 13 days after that deadly officer-involved shooting over on Rodney Parham, where 12th Street and Canis meet. The man, Bradley Blackshire, he's 30 years old. He passed away in that shooting. Police say he was driving a stolen car at the time, and we want to show you that dash camera footage. But before we do, we want to give you a warning that the video you're about to see could be graphic to some people. If you want to, turn your volume down, leave the room, come back in about 30 seconds.
Dude, get out of the car. Get out of the car. He's refusing to get out of the car. Dude, get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car, dude. Just walk. Get out of the car. Put your hands up. Put your hands up.
Before that video was released, the Blackshire family had a chance to see it with the mayor, and the mayor today told us that he actually prayed with the Blackshire family. He said earlier today, before the video was released, that it would likely invoke a lot of emotion. Take a listen to the mayor.
And as I ask everyone, please to remain calm as this investigation continues on, and that we allow due process to carry forward.
Officer Starks has been relieved of duty, which means he surrendered his badge and gun, but is still on the payroll. So where do we stand right now? We're standing at the criminal case. So that case has been forwarded on to the Pulaski County Prosecutor's Office. Right now, 5 different lawyers will look at all of the evidence that the police officers have collected over the last 13 days. Those 5 different lawyers will then decide if criminal charges would be filed against Officer Charles Starks.
It's some of you guys that are sitting here, I held campaign signs for, and now, as a citizen, I'm asking you guys to help me, to help my family, to help our community.
Emotions pouring out at City Hall tonight. Thanks for joining us at 10 o'clock this evening. I'm Bob Clausen. Ashley has the evening off. Dozens of people addressed the mayor and city directors seeking justice in the death of Bradley Blackshire. He was killed by a Little Rock police officer last month. Tyler Thompson joining us now with what people are saying, including Bradley Blackshire's mother. A very emotional evening, Tyler.
Yeah, Bob, about 20 people stepped to the podium tonight for more than an hour. They demanded justice for Bradley Blackshire and demanded change in the city.
His picture was on shirts and his spirit was in the room.
Thank you, everyone that came out to support justice for Bradley.
Bradley Blackshire's family and friends filled City Hall Tuesday night in what turned into an emotional board meeting.
I just want justice for my son. I wouldn't wish this type of pain on no one.
Bradley's mother was in tears the entire time she spoke.
We need individuals to hold individuals accountable.
Blackshire was shot and killed by Officer Charles Starks February 22nd. A criminal investigation is ongoing. People at the meeting Tuesday pressed for an arrest, calling on the prosecutor to file charges against Starks.
He needs to charge Starks because once he tells us that he declines to prosecute Starks, I can say it best this way. It's going to be game on.
Demands for change were launched from the podium as the mayor and city board sat speechless for nearly an hour.
You were in their faces when you wanted votes, but you're not in their faces when they need you most.
Nearly 2 months after a traffic stop ended with a man shot to death by police, we now know Little Rock police officer who fired the shots will not face criminal charges. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10, everybody. I'm Bob Clausen.
And I'm Ashley Ketz. Bradley Blackshire died in February. LRPD officer Charles Starks shot him, claiming self-defense.
Earlier this week, we saw a protest in the streets from people hoping to see Starks charged. But tonight, the Pulaski County prosecutor says Starks was justified in using deadly force.
And KRK4's Mitch McCoy broke the story today. He's live at police headquarters now with a closer look at this decision not to prosecute. Mitch.
Yeah, Bob and Ashley, good evening to you both. A lot to unravel here, so let's get straight to it. In the report sent to the Little Rock police chief by the Pulaski County prosecutor's office, it lists several different reasons why Officer Charles Stark will not face any criminal charges. It lists some of those decisions off by saying that the car was moving, and Officer Starks says he was looking for cover. In this 5-page report to Little Rock Police, Pulaski County prosecutors determined Officer Charles Starks will not be charged in the February fatal police shooting of Bradley Blackshire. The report shows Starks was authorized to block in the vehicle based on information he had about the stolen car Blackshire was driving. Investigators say Starks ordered Blackshire out of the car 12 times. Starks says that he saw Blackshire move his hand on the shifter to put the car in gear. Starks further says that hand stays out of sight. A woman in the car with Blackshire told police Blackshire was digging around in his pocket where she says he normally keeps his gun. A gun was later found in the car, but the report does not reveal where it was found. Officer Starks fired several shots into the car after it began to move towards him. Prosecutors say without question, Mr. Blackshire's vehicle is a deadly weapon. It is also obvious that it was moving in Starks' direction. It will be argued the vehicle was moving too slowly to be a threat, but the fact that it is moving at all indicates that Mr. Blackshire had his foot on the gas. At least it was not on the brake. The prosecutor goes on to say it's the same as if Mr. Blackshire were pointing a gun at Starks. A family friend disagrees with the prosecutor and believes Officer Starks should be charged.
It's irresponsible. It shows a lack of respect for people, especially people of color, in Central Arkansas. It's more evidence in this case than there was in Bobby Moore's case when he was murdered by Josh Hastings.
The report shows that the car bumped Officer Starks, and then that is when Officer Starks fired his weapon. The report also indicates that Officer Starks was using the car as cover, afraid that Blackshire would shoot at him. The attorney representing Officer Starks, Robert Newcomb, released a statement today on behalf of Officer Starks. It includes the fact that Officer Starks is relieved tonight, adding, quote, "It relieves burden on him and his family. He wishes Mr. Blackshire would have gotten out of the car and this would have never have happened."
You have a live look right now inside the hearing. Internal investigators saying that he believed the internal review was rushed. The city arguing that Starks broke policy and used bad tactics.
And we are expecting the Civil Service Commission to take action on this today to make a decision whether to reinstate Starks. As soon as that decision is made, we will let you know. We will, of course, have more on this hearing and exactly what's happening inside that room there at City Hall. If you go to our website, also, you can follow along because our reporter Mitch McCoy has been live tweeting all day long on Twitter.
News at 10. There's nothing I can say that is going to change the pain in their heart. Does that scare you? It does. It truly does.
Tonight, a fired Little Rock police officer who shot and killed a man earlier this year is opening up in his first ever interview. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ashley Katz.
Well, good evening. I'm Bob Clausen. Charles Starks was fired by the Little Rock Police Department because he walked in front of Bradley Blackshire's car, ending in deadly force. His lawyer arguing that shots were fired before the policy violation and there were no options.
In an exclusive interview, the former officer talks with KRK's Mitch McCoy about the shooting, where nothing was off limits, and why he wants his job back. Mitch?
Yeah, Bob and Ashley, good evening. The conversation lasted more than 50 minutes. Starks tells me he believes he shouldn't be fired, that he can be an officer again in the city of Little Rock, and believes he can help the community heal.
Every day we try to just find something positive to build off of.
Former Little Rock police officer Charles Stark says he lives day by day. He feels the Civil Service Commission, which upheld the city's decision to terminate him on a policy violation, judged the shooting, not the actual violation.
I'm disappointed more in the way that it appeared just hours into the beginning of the hearing, how it didn't appear that it was going to be an unbiased judgment.
How often do you think about the shooting?
In the past 7 months, there hasn't been a minute that's gone by that hasn't been in the front of my mind. Children's birthday parties, family gatherings, hanging out with friends, being with my wife. It's always there.
What do you think about?
I see the stare that I was given when I got out of the vehicle, asking to see his hands.
Though some things are a blur, Stark says he clearly remembers the fear he could be shot.
I was being hit by the car, and I was still concerned with a gun coming up from him.
Stark's chain of command cleared him of the policy violation, but Police Chief Keith Humphrey did not, and terminated Starks for walking in front of Bradley Blackshire's car. Do you feel like you did anything wrong that day?
No. Do I have an incredible amount of guilt? I have guilt that what I did caused 5 children to not know their father growing up. But had I not done what I'd done, my child would have never known me growing up.
The Blackshire family has called Stark's actions destructive, but the former officer says his actions were prompted by Blackshire's actions.
Labeling them destructive by the meaning of that word, I took someone's life. That has destroyed their family, and understandably so. So while I may disagree with them labeling it as that, I understand why they would say that.
Starks feels he can be an effective Little Rock police officer again.
There's no doubt in my mind that if a judge sees this the way it should be done and overturns it, reinstating me, that I can play a vital role in not only making a difference in this community, but if allowed, helping this community heal.
He feels there's nothing he can say to the Blackshire family that would allow them to forgive him, something he knows about firsthand.
When I was 11 years old, my father was murdered by gunfire. The man that shot him never went to jail and is still living life as he wants today. I'm a God-fearing man, but to this day, I've never forgiven that man.
Earlier today, we reached out to the Blackshire family to let them know about our conversation with Starks. The family still believes he intentionally stepped in front of the car and welcomes the Civil Service Commission decision to uphold the termination. You can read the family's full statement, including the full interview, that full 50-minute interview on our website. That is KRK.com. Back to you.
A former Little Rock police officer terminated after shooting and killing a man this year, back in court today fighting to get his job back. Thanks for joining us tonight at 6, everyone. I'm Bob Clausen. Ashley has the evening off. It's been almost a year since Starks shot and killed Bradley Blackshire during a traffic stop. Starks was never charged in the shooting, but he was fired over it. His first appeal to the city's Civil Service Commission, but that didn't work. So now he is in court, appealing again. Susan LaCorey joining us now live outside the Pulaski County Courthouse where the hearing went down today. Did we hear anything from the judge today, Susan?
Well, Bob, the judge used today to set up the information that he'll weigh in this case that the Civil Service Commission excluded. And he did make it clear the two things that he's looking at here is first, did Charles Starks break any rules as a Little Rock police officer? And then if he did, was the punishment of firing him acceptable based on what happened? As the door closed on Pulaski County Judge Tim Fox's courtroom, the hearing started. Charles Starks hopes this will get him back on the force. A short cell phone video was the only recording allowed inside. Starks is appealing the Civil Service Commission's ruling, which found Little Rock police were okay to fire him. Judge Fox used this hearing to lay out the key information he'll consider, some which the commission excluded.
What did you find when you got there?
That started with testimony. The judge let retired police sergeant James Stevens state on the record that he thought Starks shouldn't have been fired and instead given a 10-day suspension. He's also allowing similar testimony from Assistant Chief Ellis Falk. Starks' lawyer considers both small victories.
The only police administrator that says he should have been fired was the mayor, the police chief, at the request of the mayor, in my opinion.
But after court, Chief Keith Humphrey had a different take.
I make the decision I feel that I need to make. We're not going to always agree, but I respect their decisions.
The judge is also considering two things the Civil Service Commission didn't. Blackshire's autopsy results, which found he had multiple drugs in his system, including PCP, cocaine, and methamphetamines, as well as the prosecutor's report, which says the shooting was justified.
It goes to showing that what Officer Starks did was completely legal. So should he lose his job, his occupation, over committing a legal act?
The investigation was laid out, and I made a decision based on the facts.
Those are arguments lawyers on each side now have to write up and send to the judge before he hands down his ruling. And there was no ruling here today. Instead, the judge gave lawyers on both sides until next Friday to send in their final arguments. Then once he gets those, he'll decide how much time he needs to make his final decision. Live in Little Rock, Susan LaCorey, back to you.